let's just dig into it. Of course, 3rd or 4th of April, right? So guess what? Asia range brings us some clarity. We're having huge channel buildup, right? You can see that trend traders getting all excited, breakout traders out of Asia range, right? Speed, momentum, some little pullback, and even more speed and momentum to the upside, building the trend trainers or trend traders getting all excited. And obviously they look for buys. What's going to happen? You probably figured it out by now. Choop, right? Next example, on our 29th of March, right? So guess what? Same scenario, breakout traders getting induced first, right? Of course, now huge momentum speed. Look at this momentum of these candles building the channel before that. Stops out the channel a little bit, induces them one more time to the upside. Now makes everyone excited to the upside, right? So guess what can expect? Never took out Asia low. So guess what is next on the list? Of course, Choop, right? So guess what? Next thing, now we're having again bigger channel buildup to the downside this time, right? We're having forming already this some sort of buildup down there. We have inducement of Asia low, right? One more time, one more impulse. So guess what we can expect after? There's YouTube, right? So again, how can we use our beautiful Miss Asia to bring even more light into the darkness? Again, if you look at this mess and you're just a normal naked trader or retail trader of where do you even start from? It's so confusing, it's so hard, right? So let's get what? Obviously, we're putting, again, we had this example before, we're putting Asia range on top of it, right? Starting from 11, UTC plus 2 until 7, UTC plus 2, right? And guess what? Now all of a sudden we can see what they're trying to do. Building the channel to the downside, inducing with speed to the low side, right? So guess what? We even cancel out the noise to the left for now. Of course, the left will be very, very important later on, but for now, we're just understanding the intraday perspective of when the day starts here, right? Obviously ends somewhere around there, right? So guess what? What will going to happen next? We add timing to it, as you already learned, like London open to the absolute minute. If for indication that the inducement might be ready, right? Big players come in, London players come in, big London liquidity comes in also. Everyone looks for a short side. Boom. That's why they can choop to the right direction, right? But this is again 16th of March last year. So guess what? 16th of March this year, right? Same day, just 1 year later, right? So guess what they're doing? Building this channel, right? Or like this, right? Perfect. Inducing first. When do they do it? In Frankfurt, giving a little pullback, inducing low one more time. When do they do that? London players come in, right? So Frankfurt tried it, didn't get enough liquidity in. That's when London comes in and say, okay, let me try that again. Makes a new low, breaks the low, takes out the the buy side liquidity, of course, because all the buyers stops are below there, right? So takes them out also, brings in new sellers, and guess what? Finally, they're done inducing to the short side, and then they can choop. Same exact shit, same pair, both EU USD, right? On literally the same exact day, or maybe this is GU. I'm not can I remember exactly because it doesn't say it in here, but either EU or GU. Same shit, literally every day. Like not every day, but obviously always the same stuff, right? They cannot do the same stuff every single day, of course not. But you have to get used to at least these first price time inducements, right? And of course, slowly building an understanding of what they're trying to do. Again, if they do it exactly to the day a year before, they do it in the same exact day a year later, over and over and over again. Of course, you will have days where this is not the case, but then we have multiple different cycle variations. You need to get used to it, right? But that's, of course, one of them. So another example, right? So guess what they're doing? Asia range, huge channel buildup, inducing out of Asia range. Breakout trade is getting even more exciting, right? Momentum to the upside, and you already can see this candle in here. What's the purpose of that? And of course, stops out all the people that induced and built up to the long side. And guess what's next? Tube, right? The target, of course, is Asia range low and to stop out all of them, right? Doing it over and over again. Another one. March, again, 22nd of 2022. Okay, not bad. Again, you already can see, look how slowly you realize how clean everything becomes, right? So maybe there was like some bit of fear to indicate Asia high. You can see what they're trying to do here, building up. Now finally, again, not a build up, but then overall they're showing the short direction, building the short trend, channeling downwards. Again, inducement one, minor one out of Frankfurt, little pullback. Big players come in, London to the absolute minute. They open the position or they open the session. See that 90% of the world is to the short side. Guess what they can do? Tube, right? Over and over again. And of this, again, this moment, you probably realize, oh shit, they did that a year ago. They're doing that literally yesterday or whatever, a week before. It's always the same stuff, right? So guess what? If the movement happens to the absolute minute, you should not be surprised like this guy. You should expect that stuff, right? Again, the only thing which sometimes can vary, of course, also is the timing in terms of it doesn't happen in London Open to the minute, as you saw earlier. It also can happen Frankfurt Open to the minute. But guess what? Is it something different? See what they're trying to do here, building the channel. Never induced Asia low, right? So getting a little pullback direction, of course, but then continuing lower. Huge momentum to the downside. Vector candles, vector candles, vector candles into timing. Frankfurt Open almost to the minute, 5 minutes delay. But guess what they're doing on the same day on Euro USD? So that's GU, what they're doing on Euro USD. Same stuff, building equal highs of Asia. Look at this, like even giving multiple hits to the high side, showing the channeling downwards, obviously giving a little pullback, making even resistance trader even more excited about it, right? And now look at these huge momentum candles, vector candles to the downside, inducing out of Asia range low. Exactly the same timing as I did it for GU. So guess what we can expect out of that? Boom. Both obviously smashing the liquidity to the upside and take everything out just like that, right? Is it surprising at this point? No, right? So guess what? Other pairs maybe. Euro GBP, AUD USD. Let's see if it's something different there. Of course, building up the equal highs of Asia, right? Just building on Wick in here, but guess what they're doing here? Huge channel downward. You see, there's always the same stuff. Either they're building up liquidity to equal highs or something like that, right? Or they show the channel, right? It's always the same place. But guess what? Never took out Asia low until here, little pullback channel, induced this channel to downside, breaks out of Asia range, comes even one more time down, right? So this one is obviously even way obvious, more obvious, right? Even like little channel in here, induced finally out of Asia range to downside. What's the timing? What should happen? Boom! Frankfurt Open to the absolute minute. Frankfurt Open to the absolute minute. Is it surprisingly at this point, right? It doesn't matter, again, what pair it is. These scenarios and these liquidity traps are always the same. Again, these situations when they induce out of Asia range, building liquidity before that, and then are done inducing when these major sessions start, like London or Frankfurt, right? Of course. So again, another one for GU, for example. Channeling downwards, channeling insane with speed. Vector candles. When does it happen? Frankfurt Open can indicate they may be done inducing. What do they do in here? Channel build up high, like last pullback into vector candles, finally inducing out of Asia high. When does it happen? Right? Boom. Frankfurt Open. Look at this timing. Frankfurt Open to the absolute minute, right? So it doesn't matter what currency pair, what day, what year, what month. It's always the same liquidity patterns that happen all over again. You just have to identify some sort of inducement with the vector candles here and here to indicate when the traps should be done, when they induce major zones, like for example, Asia highs, or obviously something to the left. We will look to it later. In this scenario, there's 100% something to the left, right, which had a major impact. We will obviously put that into our understanding very soon as well. But for now, again, just get used to these timing traps and how they use timing and sessions for their advantage, and how it can give you a very, very clean picture already, right? So how can this be beneficial for us very soon? Right. So if you can look for this cycle, again, we have so many of them, like it's literally insane. Again, it's not too hard to find examples about those, right? So guess what? Building up huge liquidity to the upside, again, then slowly showing some sort of channeling downwards, breaking out of Asia range, faking the double bottom first, right? Always to give maybe baby reaction, but then finally swoosh through it, right? Tubes through it, vector candles into what? Timing, Frankfurt open to the minute. What have you already learned already, right? Breaking the market structure to the upside after all these liquidities getting taken out of vector candles and speed. Timing gives you the confidence, right? Of course, later on, we will look to the left what's going on there also for even more confirmations. Then you can look at structure being broken. That can give us an indication that price obviously is done and wants to move in another direction. What does it leave in the process? Imbalances of the extreme, right? Obviously, that's the extreme push. That's some sort of in the middle one, but obviously even here, huge imbalances, but the extreme mitigation would be down there with the imbalances still left in here, right? So guess what? Price comes down again with momentum, again wants to continue to the downside, giving all these channel and breakout traders the false momentum to the downside again, right? Because again, they think the market will continue. What is their initial goal? Mitigating out of their positions in here, filling the imbalance. Market is fairly delivered. Enigma did the task, induced everyone in the wrong direction. Market is fairly delivered now, could be ready to tube. Also confirmed, obviously, by timing, right? So guess what? Tube, right? So that's how you can do it. Obviously, then later on, we will look at the lower time frames in here. We look to the left. We add multiple other stuffs in there. So it will become very, very clean of what they're actually trying to do if you combine it with so much stuff more. For now, you see this just intraday London and Frankfurt cycles of what they love to do and how clean already it can become. Another example, again, 7th of June, right? Guess what they do in here? Wicking Asia high in here, right? Of course, before that, huge channel buildup, already getting induced by this wick. That's why they can even push the market lower. Same scenario begins again, all over again, building the channel downwards, finally breaking out of Asia low to this side now. When does it happen? What is the price? Frankfurt open, vector candles, what is the price, right? So guess what will happen? Tube. Okay, another one, Euro USDs, again from 6th of April, 7th of June, literally everywhere, right? See, it's always the same stuff, always the same stuff. Again, what's going on with GBP Swiss franc or GBP JPY, right? The Japanese yen, like what's going on there? I mean, this one, very obvious. Look at how they're crazily building the channel to the downside. What's the last impulse? Momentum and speed, right? Vector candles. Again, here it's a little bit more tricky to see, right? I've kind of building also the channel to the downside. Of course, they want to induce low first. So this snippet is a little bit poorly done. Of course, they want to induce low first for us being interested, to give the final inducement to the low side, right? So guess what? Boom, swoosh to the minute after. I mean, this one is very, very obvious, isn't it? With the vector candles into Frankfurt open, finally done inducing to low side. Guess this one can mess around a little bit to low side. Again, it gives 1, 2, head and shoulders, nonsense shit, right? Even fake break of structures to the upside. We talked about it. Of course, main intention is inducement. When does it happen? Frankfurt open timing, done inducing to low side, can tube to the upside. Okay, but of course, this was Frankfurt open scenarios. You can see multiple of them. But of course, focus on London inducements instead of Frankfurt, right? Because London inducements are way more reliable in terms of liquidity. Of course, the liquidity enters the markets and you don't run into this danger of thinking, oh shit, it's Frankfurt inducement, but then this wasn't the inducement and then inducement will happen in London and yourself will get induced by the London inducement. That's always not the point. Also, that's why we'll have specific setups for Frankfurt Open as well, right? And of course, for these major traps in after Asia, focus on London, but of course, be aware that sometimes the trap can be done in Frankfurt. That's why we look to the left and have multiple other confirmations to give us a better understanding about that, right? But for now, again, get this into your head. Another example, again, very obvious one. Again, huge momentum downside, building the channel, breaking out of Asia, right? Again, this obviously little pullback, finally again into London with speed. Look at this, all this speed, momentum, of course, into London when it will be done, and swoosh, can reverse, take out Asia high, right? Again, even more. Again, that's something that happens left and right. We can show these examples all over again. Very obvious one. Shield up channeling into speed, right? This one is a little bit more tricky, even building equal lows before Asia's, of course, we expect. Again, the inducement low, boom, and boom. Easy stuff. Like, again, GVG, JPY, every time the same stuff. Always, okay? Not every day, get that into your head. We have multiple cycle variations. I said it multiple times, but it's so important to get used to these timing aspects, okay? So, you might think then still, as even if you showed you so many examples about multiple weeks and months, even years sometimes, right? So maybe this is something that doesn't happen too many times, right? So actually, let's dig into that. Last year, again, what's going on? Asia ranges, induces low, pushes high. You saw this before, right? Asia range, induces low, continues higher. Asia range, induces low, goes a little higher, right? Asia range, induces low, goes higher. Asia range, induces low, goes higher. It's always the same shit. But you think, oh, no, that's from March, whatever, April 2021. So it 100% is different now, whatever, in March, April, like a year later, right? Let's take a look. March, obviously, 2022, right? So let's take a look. Here, obviously, induces Asia high, low, goes lower. Right here, Asia range induces low. In here, just by a little wicks, goes higher. Asia range induces high, goes lower. Asia range induces high with London to the minute, goes lower. Asia range induces high to the minute. You see it even here, absolute to the minute, goes lower. Right, and of course we have some sort of this inducing this major liquidity up here in Asia, completely fine, goes lower. Asia range induces high, goes lower. Asia range induces low, also this to the left, of course, goes higher. Asia range induces high, goes lower. Asia range induces high, goes lower. Asia range induces low first, goes higher. Induces Asia range high, goes lower. Asia range induces high, goes lower. Right, it's the same stuff, but guess what? You think like, oh no, that's from March, April 2022. It probably didn't work in like August or September 2021, right? So let's take a look. Obviously, you see so many days in a row. Asia range, this is slow, goes higher, right? Asia range, this is slow, goes higher. Asia range, this is slow, goes higher. Asia range, this is low, goes higher. Asia range, this is high, goes lower. What a surprise. Right, we can continue this all over. Asia range, and this is high, goes lower. Asia range, and this is low, goes higher. Asia range, or even this Asia range, and this is low and goes higher. Asia range, and this is high, goes lower. Asia range, and this is high, goes lower. Asia range, and this is low, goes higher. Again, you can play this in your mind already. It's always the same stuff. I hope you see it by now, right? And even again, last days, induces Asia high, Asia range high to go lower. Same shit. So guess what? You probably think like, well, that's from August now and September, like 2021. So it has to be different in May and June 2022. Right? Again, we covered March before, whatever, doesn't matter. Again, this is May and June. Guess what? Asia range induces low Frankfurt Open to the minute goes higher, right? Guess what? The day before, whatever, 2 days before, induced Asia low to the downside, obviously, and goes high. When does it happen? London Open. Here, special case, right? Induces high first, goes lower into Frankfurt Open to the minute, then goes into London, induces low, goes higher. What's the day before that? Asia range induced high, goes low. What's the day before that? Asia range induces low first, then takes out the high and goes lower. Right, same things all over. Induces Asia high, goes lower. Induces Asia high, goes lower. As you can see, these timing cycles already are everywhere. And guess what? Once you can see it, you hopefully can't unsee it. That should be these eye openers where you think, oh shit, have I overcomplicated trading like literally for years? Could it actually be that easy? Could it actually be that replicated all over again? Do they actually deliver the market like that? Is that actually how the market works? Right? So one more example, right? I'm not sure why the timing is a little bit covered here, but you can see it already what they're doing in here, right? So of course you have an Asia range, right? Of course, induces high to go what? First of all, we're marking up our break of structure points, right? After the inducement and the cycle, technically with buildups into momentum and timing is done, right? To the minute traps, giving some sort of market structure break, right? This is the push and made a new higher high, right? Perfect, right? So of course, breaking in here, that's your imbalance zone. From here to here, you see it already, you mark it up, right? So guess what? Comes back here, mitigates, now gives you this structure point, which obviously makes the high in here, right? So that gets broken. What does it leave? Like some sort of imbalances. Also, guess what? We mark it up, comes back, gets mitigated, right? Perfect. Makes new lows. There's the order flow, momentum, mitigation, right? Something like this. Boom, taps back, and then finally takes out Asia low. Of course, so that's just the overview of how obviously it all comes together slowly but surely. And that brings us to a Let's Starter Kit. You slowly need to get into your brain because that stuff will make a huge difference. Use our beautiful guide of Miss Asia range, right, for orientation. Look for these inducements, look for the buildups before that, right, where they're building these channels, these momentums, these vector candles, non-open. And of course, if you have something in here, well, that was very not nicely drawn, and let's say a pullback in here that led to the push low. If you have some sort of break of structures in here, look for the imbalance mitigation. Some point we look to the left also what's going on for the extreme in here, right? And of course, in this scenario, you have the internal break of structures in here, little build up, right? Induces to build up into mitigation, goes higher, taps at the smart money trap for all these continuation traders and trend traders getting induced, right? Of course, they wanted to take it lower. That's why our entries will be here or here, right? Of course, for pullback trades in here, but then we have to understand at one point when the cycle will be done and the whole game continues all over again. For now, understand these cycle traps, these timing confirmations, and build this really, really nice understanding, clean picture of intraday trading, and slowly, of course, we will dig everything together.